Hello, it's Tuesday, November 8th, and you're watching The Big Story with me, Chow Suen. Subscribe to the Straits Times channel to stay up to date with our live news updates. Hospitals in Singapore will no longer set aside entire wards just to treat COVID-19 patients. In Parliament today, Health Minister Ong Ye Kung explains this change in strategy as a more flexible and balanced approach to hospital bed assignment. And it will also help to alleviate the ongoing shortage of hospital beds.
We should move away from ring-fencing beds just for COVID-19 patients. We had done so in the earlier stages of the pandemic, when hospitalized COVID-19 patients face a very high chance of developing severe illnesses, and numbers can spike very high during an infection wave. Hence, reserving beds, actually we reserve wards, is an appropriate thing to do. However, we are now at a stage where most residents have been vaccinated and boosted, or recovered safely from COVID-19, and have good levels of hybrid immunity against severe illnesses. We should therefore allow hospitals to triage or assess their patients based on clinical severity and priority for treatment, and not manage COVID-19 patients to a different standard. This flexibility is important to our hospital to help them optimize the use of beds. In a crunch situation, just like the expressway with very high throughput, it makes all the difference. With this change, hospitals will no longer set aside whole wards to cohort COVID-19 positive patients as a standard pandemic practice. They will continue their current practice of using isolation beds for patients with infectious diseases, including COVID-19, if there's a risk of infection spread.
So what's been causing the hospital bed shortage at emergency departments here? Mr. Ong says the recent crowds and long waiting times are due to a mismatch in the demand and supply of hospital beds.
Whether due to demand or supply factors, we need to recognize this. That is, we run a very high throughput hospital system. And in such a system, even a very small mismatch of demand and supply, a couple of hundred beds, will cause waiting times to spike up very significantly. You think of it that way, it's not very different from an expressway with very heavy traffic flowing. All it needs is one branch fall on one lane or half a lane, and you have a massive traffic jam. For emergency cases that require hospital admission, that's where the bottleneck is. And the median waiting time for wards is about 7 hours, January to September. And this is a few hours longer than 2019. But what I quoted, 7 hours, is the median. There's a variation. So when we have an infection wave, like recently, waiting times can spike up sharply to the reported 50 hours for certain hospitals that are busier. Despite the heavy workload, our hospitals will not compromise the safety of patients. As mentioned earlier, life-threatening cases will be attended to immediately. If surgery is required, it will be carried out promptly, and beds will be there for the patients.
In other news, People's Park Centre has relaunched a $1.8 billion collective sale despite a failed attempt just 3 months ago. With business picking up and rents rising, the collective sale committee is feeling optimistic about selling en bloc, as the centre is located near the CBD and next to an MRT interchange. The tender for the site will close on December 12. Loh Kian Yew continues to make history by smashing his way to third in the latest badminton world rankings for the first time in his career. This makes him the first Singaporean men's badminton player to reach the top 3 in the world. Speaking to the Straits Times, Kian Yew calls his latest achievement a great honour, but says his focus is now on qualifying for and doing well at the year-end World Tour finals. More than 42 million Americans have cast early ballots for the midterm elections that could see the Democrats lose control of Congress. Voters will head to the polls today to elect 435 members of the House of Representatives, 1/3 of the Senate, and a host of governors. The elections coming at a time when President Joe Biden's public approval rating dipped to 39%, nearing the lowest point of his presidency. And those are our top stories for today. Visit straitstimes.com for more news and our YouTube channel for more videos. Subscribe by hitting the red button below. I'm Chao Suen, and I'll see you tomorrow on The Big Story.